For more on this now, let's expand. We're joined by African Affairs analyst Nixon Katembo. Thank you so much for your time on the program. So Nixon, the US has imposed travel restrictions while the WHO has advised against them. This is multifaceted, multifold. Do these measures really genuinely help contain Ebola, or do they risk discouraging transparency and international cooperation during an outbreak of this nature?
I think we have to appreciate the fact that indeed there has been some efforts done by WHO in terms of battling the Ebola, but at the same time also dealing with the outbreak of many diseases that have been happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo. However, to respond directly to your question, whether these measures might have some effects, indeed, of course, that will have an effect, because people who might travel to the DRC, for example, to assist in containing the diseases and all the outbreak might have to think twice. You would recall that there was some diplomatic row between Kenyan citizens and the presidency in Kenya, as well as the United States, when they were building sort of a cantonment camp for DRC affected American citizens of Ebola in Kenya, and there was a protest to that effect. And I think with these measures taken, now it's going to isolate the DRC instead of responding to the cases themselves as the outbreak arises in the country.
And there's just so much going on within the region, with the DRC simultaneously battling Ebola, malaria, as well as ongoing conflict and humanitarian displacement that we've seen. Just where should the international community's immediate priorities lie at this critical time? Should it be with strengthening humanitarian and public health support, or focusing on security and protecting its strategic mineral supply chains?
Well, I think one of the critical issues here is the whole holistic approach to the DRC security issues, not only just health issues, but look at the refoundation of the state. And this is an issue that I've been speaking about, because when you have a state capacitated within institutions to respond to some of the challenges that we see in the DRC, it might be much more of the work of the national government to contain such a disease without requiring international response to that effect. But what we've seen, because of the absence of the control of the state on the entire DRC territory, coupled with the mayhem that the conflict have caused in the country, it makes it even difficult to contain diseases such as Ebola or malaria itself, because then the reaching the communities that are affected sometimes in affected conflict area might be difficult. Therefore, you have a more humanitarian crisis and casualty, people dying of preventable diseases such as malaria. Whereas if there were institutional framework within the country and the peace is prevailing, the governance within the country can deal with such diseases such as the outbreak of malaria, as we hear it coming from the western part of the DRC.
And this is quite an awkward position, if you may, because the DRC is critical to global supply of minerals that are used in technology and clean energy. Should the US be now taking a more active diplomatic role in addressing the conflict and health crisis, and not only for humanitarian reasons, but also to safeguard the long-term regional stability?
I think I would be naive to support that call to say, look, the US might help this. If you're a school of international relations, if you're a student of international relations, you will understand. For example, in realism, the state interests precede over anything. And for what we see here for the U.S. is looking at its national security interest, making sure the minerals come out of the DRC regardless the cost or the humanitarian cost that on the part of the DRC citizens, whatever happened. Whether the DRC is now almost over a year since the DRC mineral deal was signed, but we don't see tangible results in as much as the DRC is a superpower and it has been, the United States is a superpower and it has been involved in the affairs of the DRC since 1960. So what is here is for the DRC state in itself to be refounded, to critically respond to the issue that the citizens are facing rather than depending on outside assistance. Even the intervention of the US should come at the backdrop of what the DRC government is doing in that particular country to serve its citizens. Unfortunately, what we see is that the focus is now on the mineral extractions rather than looking at the well-being of the citizens and the stability of the country and the economic development of the DRC.
All right, let's leave it there for now. I must thank you so much for your time and insights on the program. That is Nixon Katembo, who is the African Affairs Analyst, joining us there to have that conversation with us. Thanks so much indeed.